Welcome back, everyone, to the Bitcoin Business Bureau. I'm your host, as always, LitecoinLeader. There's so much going on. I need a haircut. I don't even have time to get a haircut. Okay, that's how much is going on. We did the AMA last night. It was good. Could use more attendance, of course, but that happens when you have it. I was a little late in announcing it. That's why scrolling right here. AMA is 2 weeks from today. It's 2 weeks at 8 p.m. Eastern. We will see everybody there. Again, the annual report, if you have not joined my Patreon, annual report is available. The annual report is available. I think it's available most levels. If you subscribe to a level, can't get it, talk to me. I'll get you the right level. But I am going to simplify Patreon by the end of April. I promise that. And I hope by the end of the year, get away from Patreon, but we'll talk about that 1 month at a time, please. Let's work on me getting a haircut, for example. But today I'm talking about news. We got the annual report for crypto. That's great. But today we were talking about BRICS. Why do we talk about BRICS? Because BRICS is they're just building that brick wall, no pun intended, but it works. That's building brick after. Imagine if you've seen the Count of Monte Cristo, or if you've read that book, I think, which is Edgar Allan Poe, I believe, about the man who gets buried alive in the wall. All right, and there's more and more bricks. That's what I see, like the death of the dollar being like down there. You have bricks, they're building this wall, more and more things happen. I want to share my screen and just tell you some of the things that are going on and just walk you through the death of the dollar as it's going. So here we go, sharing my screen. Boom. Okay, so Gold Telegraph on Twitter. This week we have seen the following. Saudi Arabia agreed to join the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. China and Brazil made a deal to ditch the dollar for trade. China and France completed the first LNG, which is liquid natural gas, trade settled in yuan. That's at the more button. Asian nations consider dropping U.S. dollar, euro, yen, and British pound from financial transactions. That's basically dropping the Dixie. The only thing left out of the Dixie would be the yuan. We learned that the BRICS reserve currency could be potentially backed by gold and other commodities, such as rare earth elements. That will come up in another story coming very soon. In fact, I think it was mentioned above in a tweet here that said that China is looking to limit the export of rare earth elements. This all happened within 7 days. At the same time, the world is beginning to grasp that the BRICS bloc is going to expand in a big way shortly. We will definitely talk about that in a moment. People act surprised about Saudi Arabia working closely with China. There have been many signposts, including in 2021, when Saudi Aramco, that's China's energy security, would be its highest priority for the next 50 years. So the first 50 years was with the U.S. from 71, let's call it 73, to now. Now it becomes China. At the beginning of the year, the world was shocked to learn that Saudi Arabia was willing to engage in discussions regarding trade conducted in currencies beyond the confines of the U.S. dollar. Buy a ticket and take a ride. So here you go. You got pictures of BRICS. You have China, Russia, Brazil, which I'm not sure he's president right now. That's a different discussion. And this is India and South Africa. They are kind of lesser players. India is a big player, but South Africa is that's not. Yeah, South Africa. You're going to soon replace South Africa with Saudi Arabia will be the dominant S in the conversation. But first, let's talk about BRICS. Okay, here's a story. The BRICS. This is from March, a week or so ago. The BRICS has overtaken the G7 in global GDP. Okay, here's the chart of BRICS compared to the G7, and it's crossed over now in 2021, 2022. So the BRICS currently includes just the basic five. That's all they had in this. So you had Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Well, the G7 includes the U.S., the UK, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, and Japan, and the EU. So the EU, UK, they work together. Now the UK broke off, but you get the idea. BRICS is also expanding. We'll go over that in a minute. And the numerous other countries poised to do the same. That'll be the next article we talk about. A real shakeup is expected these coming days. This is like this week or next. With Mexico, long part of the North American Free Trade Bloc NAFTA, now superseded by the Canada-United States-Mexico Agreement. CUSMA, we'll go with that. The CUSMA Agreement, I believe that was enacted like about 5 years ago. Now, so Mexico is poised to join BRICS. That will be seen as a direct affront to Mexico's U.S. relations and a sign that global economies, even on America's border, are having serious doubts about the U.S. ability to trade on fair and equal terms. So currently the BRICS 5 now contribute almost a third of the global GDP, while the G7 has fallen to 30%. So that's pretty interesting. So PPP, I'm trying to remember what PPP is, but it's an output number. But it just shows you that here is the U.S. and China slowly growing as U.S. and here's China passing them. So in any event, the new candidate countries for BRICS expansion, right? If accepted, these new proposed BRICS members would create an entity with a GDP 30% larger than the United States, over 50% of the global population, and in control of 60% of global gas reserves. So it goes through, here's the map. Let's see if I can't make that in a larger form. There we go. Let's see if I can zoom in. So the red ones are your current BRICS members. The orange ones are proposed. You have Iran, Saudis, Egypt, Algeria, Nigeria, Kazakhstan, looking around my camera, Argentina, Nicaragua, and now Mexico is going to be in there, and there's Senegal too. So and Indonesia. So there's a lot going on. I would expect. I mean, the other countries around here just fill in. Just makes sense for them to connect. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So the hot story. This is there's stories that. Mexico plans to join BRICS amid growing tensions with the U.S. This was mid-March. Japan, I don't need to see that. Japan's proactive foreign policy and the rise of the BRICS. This was 2007. Japan's interested looking at this. So the Russia-Ukraine war, Japan buys Russian oil. So Japan is ignoring the sanctions against Russia and saying don't pay more than $60 a barrel for Russian oil. Well, Japan said, forget that. We need oil. So now they're spending it's close to $70 a barrel, which is 16% higher, which is they were trying to cap it at 60. And again, we go over the gold telegraph, all that stuff that we talked about earlier. And if I look at Japan, which I mentioned earlier, let's see, we're going to go to the rare earths. So it was mentioned earlier. Oh, this is just a particular tweet. That's okay. That's all right. So if we go back one. There's a lot. Gold Telegraph has a lot to talk about. I won't go through all the tweets. Let me just drop out of here and talk to you guys for a moment. I've been talking about BRICS for a while. I will put that up in a moment. But if I go to my YouTube channel and I just pull up the videos that I make and just search the word BRICS, and as soon as I get my my videos, let's see your videos. All right, so let's try this again. We'll do that. There we go. And if I just, that's wrong. That's horribly wrong. We're not going to share that. All right, we'll do that another time. But if you go back and look through my channel, and I don't want to do it in real time because it'll just slow you guys up. But if you look, I've been talking about BRICS for a long, long time, and it's been a major issue for a long, long time. And it's impacting the death of the dollar. The dollar is losing its status as world reserve currency. All the BRICS nations are making deals outside the U.S. dollar, and now other countries are joining. We have Egypt. Did I go over all the different candidate countries? I stopped at the map. That's why. That's why. So presenting again. Sorry. So here. We've got Afghanistan, Algeria, Argentina, Egypt, Indonesia, Iran, don't need that right now, thank you. Kazakhstan, Nicaragua, Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, Senegal, Thailand, the UAE. It's a long list, and it keeps growing. And the reason it keeps growing is that the BRICS nations understand that the dollar is dying and that there are better alternative currencies, or use their own native currency, because the dollar is just inflating beyond belief and they just can't keep up with that system. So they're going to try and get out of that system, let that system die, and build up through the new BRICS system, and let the yuan or the ruble or a basket of currencies that doesn't include the dollar all kind of coalesce and be like the new world reserve for this group. And maybe they wind up with a BRICS currency. I don't know what that will be, but it'll probably be backed by commodities. Now, the U.S. is probably going to be in a position where they're going to be painted into a corner, and they're going to make another currency that will be backed by some kind of commodity, some kind of value. Could be gold, could be silver, could be other elements, because the U.S. has a lot of they have a lot of commodities. They have a lot of things that they can produce if they're allowed to produce them. But they got to get into this. They got to, if they don't want to fall by the wayside and have Europe and Japan, Japan's already, like, Japan and Mexico were big trading partners for the U.S. Japan owns a lot of the treasury bills from the U.S. Mexico, clearly a big trade partner with the U.S. If they start going to BRICS, Canada and Europe are pretty much all that's left. Maybe Australia and New Zealand. That's not a lot of trade partners left, and they're all going to be scrambling. So, and they are much more. So Australia and New Zealand are much closer geographically to Asia. And Europe's closer to, like, geographically to the Middle East and Asia to get their supplies. So it's going to be a tough one for the dollar. So I've been, like I said, I've been talking about the BRICS for almost a year. I know I've talked about Rio. I've talked about Brazil. I've talked about all these different countries, but the time it's really coming to a head now. And as you know, the news cycle is much, much faster. So it's going to keep coming and coming and coming. I wish I had better news for you about the dollar, but if you're not, this is why Economic Preppers was born. This is why Patrick and Dylan and I do what we do, go around the country, talk about this brand. This brand is a big one for us, right? Economic Preppers. The reason we talk about this is, like, if you look at this, you've got Bitcoin at the top, gold and silver on each side. You have the axes representing tooling and doing work for yourself, and real estate at the bottom there. So nowhere on there is a currency. Nowhere on there is a fiat currency. You don't have the euro, you don't have the dollar, you don't have the yen, the yuan. You have hard money assets or fixed assets like Bitcoin, gold, and silver, and real estate. So all those things have value. All those things are going to survive any currency battles, which is probably the next war that we're going to see. So, and I think we even had an interesting speech that we'll probably have an Economic Preppers, a clip from a certain individual that was in New York back and forth in the news that they want you to focus on, and not stories like this. And he even mentioned that the currency is dying. The U.S. currency is dying. So got to stay on top of this, folks. I'm doing my best I can. If you like this kind of content, I should have said at the top, but it is what it is. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, get this out there. Help everybody else learn what's going on. Don't let them be distracted by what everybody wants to be the news versus what's actually happening in the world. So, lots said today. I'm going to close the drawer in the bureau, say file leader, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.